Okay, so every organization out there, right? Big ones, small ones, they all seem to face this constant challenge.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get the best people, and how do you keep them happy and, really performing?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's way beyond just good pay or like a cool office nowadays. It's something deeper.
You're absolutely right. The whole landscape of work is shifting constantly. And trying to become an employer of choice, well, it's not just a nice to have anymore. It's really a core strategic necessity.
Yeah.
And it definitely relies on some specific internal workings and how a company actually operates.
And that is exactly what we're digging into today. Yeah. For this deep dive, our mission is to unpack how the really successful companies are like actively shaping their culture, their brand. It's not accidental.
No, definitely not.
They're pulling our insights from CEO World Magazine, which says some really practical stuff on this.
And the really interesting part, the core of it, is this connection, maybe even a surprising one, between two key ideas: design thinking and communicative training. These aren't just buzzwords. When you put them together correctly, they're proving fundamental for genuinely inspiring people, both the ones you want to hire and the ones you already have.
All right, let's get into that. We hear employer branding thrown around a lot. What does that actually mean in practice? And why is it so vital, especially now with talent being so competitive?
Well, essentially, employer branding is the whole process companies use to promote their internal culture and their core values, specifically to attract that top talent.
Yeah.
It's basically the story you tell about what it's really like to work there. So that covers, leadership style, the actual work environment, opportunities for growth, the company's mission. It's the whole package.
Right, it's the identity people connect with.
Exactly. It's about creating something people can genuinely, see themselves fitting into.
So it's not just like a list of perks on a job ad. It's the whole feeling, the promise, that connection someone might feel even before they hit apply.
Precisely. And your company culture. That plays a huge role in developing a strong employer brand.
It makes sense.
Right? A positive culture, one that really lives its values, it just naturally attracts people. And maybe even more critically, it's what keeps your current team sticking around. When the culture is clear, when it's practiced consistently, people are generally more satisfied, more motivated, more dedicated.
Yeah, you can feel that.
But the flip side is true too. A weak culture, maybe one where expectations are fuzzy or there's no real sense of purpose, that can just tear down any positive brand image you're trying to build.
That totally clicks. So for you listening right now, why is deliberately focusing on building this culture so important, particularly with how hard it is to find good people?
Because fundamentally, companies that make that investment, that actively shape their culture, they create places where people want to be, where they choose to give their best effort.
Right.
And a really well-defined, appealing culture, it boosts your reputation organically. Your own employees become your best recruiters, really. They talk about it, that word of mouth spreads, and it naturally feeds your talent pipeline.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. It's a powerful cycle. Pays off in both recruitment and retention. Big time.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to design thinking. We hear about it being, human-centered, about empathy, solving problems for users. How does that fit with something that feels a bit more abstract, like company culture? Who's the user here?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's really powerful is how design thinking's focus on getting deep insights into users' needs applies directly to understanding employees, really understanding them on a granular level.
So the employees are the users in this context.
Precisely. It's about putting yourself in their shoes, trying to genuinely grasp their day-to-day experience within the company.
Okay, so it's more than just like the annual employee survey then.
Yeah.
What kinds of methods actually get you that deep understanding?
Oh, yeah. Definitely goes beyond surveys. We're talking about more qualitative approaches, things like workplace shadowing, actually observing people work, index interviews, open-ended conversations.
Right.
These let you uncover the real lived experiences, the pain points, what drives them crazy, what they love, their core values, even what they hope for in the future of the company. And all that rich information, that data, it feeds into this iterative cycle of brainstorming ideas and then quickly prototyping them.
What are their typing culture? How does that work?
Well, think about creating mock-ups of, say, a new section on the careers website talking about culture.
Yeah.
Or testing out different language and recruitment ads. Or even running small pilot programs for new cultural initiatives, maybe with one team.
Oh.
The goal is always to get quick feedback from employees, see what resonates, what doesn't, and keep refining it until it truly works for the people it's meant for.
That feels like a really different way of doing things compared to, say, HR just deciding on a new policy from the top down.
Yeah.
How does involving employees like that change things? Does it actually make them care more?
Absolutely. That hands-on, empathetic process, it gives employees real agency. They feel like they have a say in shaping their own work environment and even how the company looks to the outside world.
Right, they're part of it.
Exactly. When people are involved from the beginning, gathering the info, brainstorming, testing the prototypes, they become incredibly invested. The final employer brand feels authentic to them, like it reflects their reality, not just some marketing spin.
Mm-hmm.
And that co-creation, it directly leads to much higher buy-in across the workforce. Your employees become genuine advocates, talking positively about the company, both inside and, crucially, outside work. And we've seen companies do this really effectively. For example, one company did some serious ethnographic research. They actually went and visited other companies to sort of soak up different cultures before even starting on their own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then they ideated and prototyped some unusual perks, like I think they did on-site gyms, and ended up launching a brand that was all about mission and innovation, which really hit home with their team.
That makes sense.
Then there was another firm, they did really detailed interviews with key people to figure out what truly attracted and kept their tech talent. And get this, they actually had employees co-create a prototype for a new intranet, kind of crowdsourcing ideas for better collaboration and flexibility.
That's clever.
Yeah, and those ideas, tested and refined, really strengthened their brand's promise about empowering internal innovation. And one more, a company used ideation sessions specifically for their remote workers to define what working there meant.
Important for remote teams.
Totally. Those remote folks proposed and tested things like new communication tools, wellness programs, recognition ideas, all on a small scale first. It ended up transforming their whole work from anywhere culture.
Okay, that paints a really clear picture of design thinking in action here. Let's pivot now to communication. We all know it's important, but why is it described as paramount for culture, both inside and outside the company? What makes it the linchpin?
Well, effective communication, it's not just nice to have. It's really the bedrock for building and reinforcing a healthy culture. Internally, you need regular, transparent ways for people to connect.
Mm-hmm.
These forums, they build trust, help employees feel connected to leadership, to the company's purpose, and externally, communication is basically how you shape perceptions. It's how you attract people who genuinely align with your values. And consistency is key here. The message needs to be the same across the board. Emails, all-hands meetings, job ads, social media.
Right, no mixed signals.
Exactly. When it's clear and consistent, everyone gets it. They understand the cultural values, the priorities, how things work. That builds understanding and, importantly, buy-in. Without that clarity, things get confusing, culture feels shaky, both for current employees and potential hires. And companies are getting smarter about this, actually implementing specific communicative training, not just standard corporate comms.
Like what kind of training?
Well, for instance, running workshop series focused directly on skills. Things like active listening, emotional intelligence, how to give feedback constructively, even navigating conflict respectfully,
Yeah.
often using role-playing to make it practical.
Okay, the soft skills.
Exactly. The crucial skills that build strong relationships and keep the culture aligned. Then you see mentorship programs pairing junior and senior folks. It's great for transferring knowledge and sort of cultural understanding. Plus, the mentors develop their leadership skills too. Right. And finally, using collaborative projects as a learning ground. Getting diverse teams working together on shared goals that naturally builds communication and teamwork muscles with, careful guidance on making sure everyone's included and work is delegated well.
Okay, so we have design thinking, deep empathy, iteration, user-focused, and then robust communication, clarity, connection, consistency.
Yeah.
Now, where does the real synergy happen? How do these two things truly work together to boost each other?
Right. This is where it gets really powerful. The core synergy is design thinking gives you the methods, the human-centered ways to understand needs and create solutions. Communication then acts as the essential conduit for all those iterative processes. Put them together and you create a system where employees genuinely have influence over the decisions that shape their culture and how the company presents itself externally. It guarantees their voice is heard and acted upon. You can picture it like a continuous conversation, a loop. You use communication methods, pulse surveys, online forums, focus groups to regularly check in. That feedback constantly fuels the design thinking cycle. Observe, brainstorm, prototype, test.
So it's not a one-off project.
Not at all. That ensures talent is always involved in shaping the brand vision as it evolves. Employees stop being just passive recipients of whatever culture gets handed down. They become active co-creators representing their own experiences and needs. And that combined approach, it massively strengthens that sense of belonging and buy-in. People feel genuinely engaged because they are genuinely engaged in defining the brand. And again, we see companies blending this really well. Think of Company D. They're known for bi-weekly all-hands meetings and active online forums where employee input directly shapes their design-led culture. Leadership is super transparent about what they hear and what they're doing.
Keeps everyone in the loop.
Totally. And it maintains their famous culture of autonomy and innovation. Then there's Company E. They bring in facilitators for these big collaborative internal hackathons to generate ideas. The best ideas get socialized, prototyped quickly, refined. They specifically run workshops on valuing diverse perspectives, which is central to their culture of equality. And Company F, they do these semi-annual leadership tours. Leaders go out to all the offices, really practice active listening to understand challenges on the ground. Those insights feed directly into design thinking solutions, which then get prototyped and reviewed using things like online Q&As, especially for remote teams. It builds this really adaptive learning culture.
Okay, so for everyone listening, let's boil this down. What's the absolute bottom line? What are the key takeaways from weaving together design thinking and communication like this?
I'd say there are three big ones. First, just how powerful the synergy is. Use them together, and you foster transparency, you build psychological safety, you get real participation, and that drives incredible buy-in.
Right. It doesn't.
Second, these collaborative methods keep your talent constantly in the loop, informing solutions, testing them, giving feedback. That constant co-creation builds real advocacy and pride, and importantly, it future-proofs your brand and culture. It keeps them flexible and aligned as people's priorities inevitably change over time.
Keeps it relevant.
Exactly. And third, mixing these tools actually helps embed communication, best practices like active listening, empathy, constructive dialogue throughout the whole organization. It strengthens relationships, aligns everyone, and ultimately nurtures a more agile, high-performing culture that's ready for innovation.
That's a really solid framework for dealing with today's, well, everything in the talent world. Looking forward, though, how do you see this whole culture building thing evolving? With remote work, societal shifts, what's coming next?
Yeah, the sources definitely point to a few key trends. First, obviously, digital communication is becoming even more critical for remote and hybrid teams. Finding ways to convey purpose and build community virtually is non-negotiable. Second, the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, isn't going away. If anything, it's intensifying. Companies that genuinely create cultures where everyone feels safe and included and track their progress with things like culture audits, they'll have a major advantage in attracting diverse talent.
Authenticity is key there.
Absolutely. And finally, particularly for younger generations, there's a huge emphasis on social and environmental impact. Employer brands that can authentically show how they're making a positive difference on issues like sustainability, for example, will really connect. And design thinking is a great tool to make sure those efforts are real, not just greenwashing, and communication then tells that story effectively.
So as we kind of wrap this up, it feels really clear that mixing design thinking with empathetic communication isn't just about like adopting a new HR trend. It's tapping into something really transformative for building vibrant, authentic brands and really resilient cultures.
It truly is. It's about cultivating a living identity for the organization, one that can adapt and grow because it's fundamentally built around its people.
And maybe here's something for you to think about after this. How could these principles, human-centered design, empathetic communication, how could they empower you? Not just at work, but in any group or community you're part of. Think about how focusing on understanding needs and communicating clearly might help build stronger connections and a real sense of shared purpose, wherever you are.